Dragon Ball Xenoverse is the newest Dragon Ball Z game, and it follows you as you go through the game, fixing the mistakes made by the Time Bandits, Toa, Mira, and Demigra. And while this is a review, and a very late one at that, I'll be focusing mainly on the bad things, because I feel that the bad things have not been showcased nearly enough. So, with all that said, I will also state that I do like this game a lot. But with all that said, I will begin. Now, I'm going to start off talking about the DLC. And the fact that most of the DLC, not all of the DLC, is on disc. Now, what does that mean? On disc means that, it basically means that a lot of the DLC is already in the game, you just have to pay for it, which is disgusting and despicable, and I hate how people do that, and basically what I'm saying right now is don't buy any of the DLC. Just don't buy it. But now, while it is, now, there are many things on it that you could say are on disc, but there's three things. Well, basically one. There's one thing that ticks me off about all of this DLC, is that the main villains of the game are all DLC. That's right. You don't get to play as the main villains of the game unless you pay for them. Do you know how bullcrap that sounds? Because it is. Now, who are they? Toa, Mira, and Demigra. Well, and now I have heard people say, oh, well, their combos weren't ready. And shut up. Grow a brain. This deal, here's why. I would think that developing the main villains of the game would be much more important than making it so that we can play as a Pool, Raspberry, and Hercule. That's right. So either they are on disc and they are DLC intentionally, or the developers of this game, Dimps, are all idiots for making a Pool, Raspberry, and Hercule before their main villains. Either way, that's not very good for the game. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to talk about the character roster now. Now, overall, I do think this is a pretty solid character roster, but there are some things that should be in it. Such as all the forms of Frieza, all the forms of Cell, and all the forms of Majin Buu. Seriously, why the heck are they not in there? And I know there are people who will also say, well, they're not important to the story because in the story, Frieza just skips right to his last form and instead of his second and third form. And you only see Perfect Cell in the game, even though in a cutscene you see Imperfect Cell, which means his model is in the game. And with Boo, you literally see only 3 of his forms. So you don't get to see Buuhan, Boo-Tanks, and Boo-Hiccolo. So, and there's a difference between, and I know that they aren't in the story, so you could argue that they weren't in the story because of, well, they weren't in the game because they weren't in the story. But here's why they weren't in the story. Because the developers were lazy. They just cut as many corners as possible. And want to know what cements that fact? The Ginyu saga is longer than the Frieza saga. Enough said. So, now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to talk about multiplayer mode and how much of a piece of crap it is. So let's put aside the fact that a lot of the times the servers don't work. Let's put aside the fact that World Tournament mode isn't up yet, even though it's been over a full month since the game came out. Let's talk about how the game the game makes itself so easy to spam and just run away. Because, in case you don't know, when you go into Super Saiyan mode, special attacks, so your ki blasts and such, and your ultimate attacks, do not waste ki. So basically, with a lot of the ultimates, you could just sit there and spam. And don't give me any of that bullcrap of, oh, well, you just have to get good at the game, then you can do it. No. No amount of getting good will fix crappy game design. No amount of getting good will be able to fix the fact that you can just exploit the system. Because all the people sitting up at the top of the leaderboards, they're not good at the game. I hate being one of those people, but they're not good at the game. They're just spammers and runners. Runners are basically people who run away just so they can hit you a couple times. And since that one of the biggest focuses of this game is its multiplayer, and when the multiplayer is the worst part of the game, that's a serious problem. Now, and another crappy game design is the AI. The AI partners in this game are so bad. I'm going to focus mainly on the Bardock mission. In the Bardock mission, you are surrounded by a bunch of Frieza soldiers who are supposed to be really weak, yet somehow they're super strong. Yes, this mission is supposed to take place, the Bardock mission is supposed to take place much earlier in the timeline than the Frieza saga, yet the Frieza saga villains are easier to kill than the Bardock villains. That doesn't make much sense, does it? So, then there's the whole... So, in this mission, Bardock just is a complete idiot. He will just... When you want him to stay away so that he doesn't get hit, he will run away. He will run into a crowd of enemies and just get his butt handed to him. And when you do want him to help you, to get guys off of you, where is he? He's over in some corner fighting one guy and getting his butt handed to him. Like, why is Bardock getting his butt handed to him by a pool? That doesn't make sense. So, yeah, and I know some people will be like, you're just not good at the game. Like I said, no amount of quote-unquote getting good at the game will fix a crappy game design. And let's talk about the whole get good thing. This isn't a fighting game. And at this point, it's probably just turned into a community rant, namely Rhyme Style. Even though I really like Rhyme Style, this isn't a fighting game. He has said, oh well, I'm gonna beat you in a match because I'm better than you. No. You're going to beat us, you're going to beat someone either because you're spamming, you're running, or you have a higher level than them. This is not a fighting game, this is a role-playing game. So, that's not an issue with the game, just don't go into the game looking for a fighting game. Which is why at this point it's a community rant, because you don't beat people because, well, unless you're both level 8, well no, even if you're both level 80, you don't beat people because you're better than them. You beat people because you have better attacks, and you have better skill, better numbers than they do. When I say numbers, I mean they have better stats than you do. So the game does not rely on you winning based off of skill. It relies on you winning because you have better stats than them. Now, I think that I just got all of this stuff off my chest. I know this was a rather short video, but especially for a review. But yeah, that's about it. I would say that if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you should definitely get this game. It's really fun. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that well, I might have mentioned this, but World Tournament mode and the servers, World Tournament mode is just, yeah, I mentioned that already. But yeah, that's my review. I do think that if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you should get this game. But I don't see why a non-Dragon Ball fan would get this game. Yeah, that's about it. I would definitely say that it's worth getting, but as of now, it definitely needs to be fixed. And I do think that Toa Mira and Demigra should be a free update. But that we're not going to do that because this is money making world. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.